So my name is Bianca Edison. I am an attending physician within our sports medicine department at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. And we are really incredibly excited and honored to be here tonight and to be partnering with the Positive Coaching Alliance to put on this talk for you and the community. So I just want to have my co-moderator also introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marty Reed, and I am the Development Manager of Positive Coaching Alliance. We're so happy to be here tonight. And before I joined PCA, I actually played softball at UCLA and won a championship there in 2010. So I'm excited about this panel we have tonight. And without further ado, I will introduce our first panelist, and we'll go down the line. We're so excited. We're going to be asking some questions, and then we'll also have time to turn it over to the audience for you all to ask questions as well. So throughout the panel, please write down your questions so you'll have an opportunity to ask them later, okay? So first up, we have Adam Krikorian. He's the current head coach. Yes, round of applause. Come on up, of the USA Women's Water Polo National Team since 2009. During his tenure, he's won 16 out of 19 possible world titles. That includes 2012 and 2016 gold medal in the Olympics and a number of World Cups and World League Super Final crowns. He has been named National Coach of the Year five times, and Coach of the Games at the Team USA Awards after the 2016 Olympics. And before coaching the women's national team, he was the head coach of the UCLA women's and men's water polo team and won 11 national championships there as well. So highly decorated. We're so excited to have you. Thank you, Adam.
All right. Our next panelist for this evening is Dr. Michael Gervais. Dr. Gervais is a high-performance psychologist whose client roster includes MVPs from every major sport, to include Olympian Kerry Walsh-Jennings, Fortune 100 CEOs, as well as internationally acclaimed artists and musicians. He received his undergraduate degree from Loyola Marymount University and completed his PhD at San Diego University. He is the co-founder of Compete to Create, a joint venture with Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll, which has built a framework to enhance high-performance cultures by focusing on mindset training for individuals. His work aims to pull back the curtain on how world-leading organizations and performers shape their lives, their thinking, and their relationships in order to become their very best and thrive in this modern world that is experiencing a lot of stress. So we're really excited to have him share his insight and expertise.
And last but not least, we have Miss Valerie Condosfield. She's the head coach of the 7-time NCAA champion, 22-time regional, and 18-time Pac-12 champion UCLA women's gymnastics team. She's in the UCLA Hall of Fame and a 4-time National Coach of the Year, and most recently named Pac-12 Coach of the Century. There's been 46 former U.S. national team members to go through her program, and after meeting her and hearing from her, you'll understand why. Her coaching philosophy and impact goes far beyond the sport of gymnastics, and we're lucky to have her with us today. And she's also going to have to jet out a little bit early because she's catching a flight to go be on USA Good Morning America tomorrow. So, awesome, right? Work never stops. Okay, let's just get started here. Let's dive in. This is so amazing. Can you each just let us know what your why is, why you have devoted your life to sports in this industry, what brings you and what keeps you here?
Well, I know you're looking at me, but I'd like to defer first.
That's why he's got the doctor in front of his name, right? First of all, I am Miss Val, but I am most recently known as Caitlin Ohashi's coach. So that's how this is going to go for the rest of my life, probably. My why, I have been at UCLA for 36 years as the assistant coach, 29 as the head coach of those years. And my fun little tale is that with all those accolades that she mentioned, I've never done gymnastics. I was a ballet dancer and a choreographer, so I've never gone upside down. Okay, that's a lie. I went upside down last year on my 58th birthday, and I did a cartwheel, and it was very bad. I didn't, yeah. Maybe I'll get over this time next year. But my why is very, very clear to me. I get to go in the gym every day and develop superheroes. I get to develop champions in life. And having never been in the world of athletics, it's always been very clear to me that athletics is an amazing venue to learn really, really, really tough life lessons. But it's all about developing the person first. And then once you do that really well, they'll translate that to the competition floor. And that's the fun part. But the important part is develop champions in life that they will then go out and take out in the real world and leave a positive footprint. And so I develop superheroes, and I have the coolest job in the country. You ready now?
I should not have gone second. Yeah. I started in the field of sports psychology because I couldn't understand it as a young athlete. And what I couldn't understand was I grew up here, and I grew up surfing. And there's two types of surfing, as most people in the audience would recognize. There's competitive surfing, and then there's free surfing. During free surfing, it was fine. It was great. I had a great time. As soon as it flipped over to competitive surfing, it was a completely different sport for me. So I didn't lose the physical talent. I didn't lose the stuff I had in free surfing, but when something mattered bigger than what it felt like was me, I couldn't show up. And so I didn't understand that there was a mental part of the game. So there's only three things as humans we can train. We can train our body, our craft, and our mind. And as a young kid, it was really painful. It was painful for me because I knew I had more in me, but I couldn't express it. And then so with some mentoring, somebody suggested, hey, there's this thing called psychology. Why don't you check it out? And so I followed that path insatiably as long as I possibly could. And I'm still trying to figure it out. It's a complicated science because it's invisible. And so that's what's led me to wanting to work with people that are highly driven to be able to express their potential. And it doesn't matter if they're elite or best in the world or world leading in what they do. It's the deep hunger that they have to express their genius, and it's not easy. And the world needs those men and women to be able to pursue an authentic expression of themselves. And so I feel blessed to be able to work with those men and women who are working toward that aim. And so that's how I got here. It started from pain, if you will. Yeah.
Well, I think my answer is going to be less educated than both of those. I'd say why not? I wear sandals, board shorts, a t-shirt, sunglasses. Every once in a while I put a hat on my head because I'm outside at the pool. The only thing I'm not doing is drinking margaritas or Mai Tais. I kind of fell into this job by chance a little bit. I was a student athlete at UCLA. Actually, Val reminded me that she was coaching then. And the head coach at the time just asked me to be an assistant coach. I said, anything I can do to basically delay the real world, I'm going to do it. And I did it. I had a lot of fun. And we actually had probably the worst season in UCLA water polo history. And what I started to, I think at that juncture, I was still 22 years old, 23 years old. And, I said to myself, well, I can't leave now. We just had the worst year ever. So I stayed for one more year, stayed another year. And what I did was I just fell in love with the process of going from, being not very good in something, even as a coach, to starting to learn and starting this beginning process of trying to master something. I think all of us probably very much enjoy the relationships that we build with the athletes and having the impact. As a kid, my most impactful people in my life were my coaches. I started as a swimmer. Swimming is brutal sport. I mean, your face is down in the water and you're chasing this black line, and I absolutely loved it. And it wasn't until probably about 5 or 10 years ago that I realized why I loved it. And it wasn't because I loved swimming. It was because I loved my coach. And the coaches and the teachers have such an impact on the kids, and I think that's why I'm doing it today, is hopefully to have that type of impact on others.
That's so cool.
Right.
Thank you.
I love that answer. So you all talked about, developing the person as a whole, whether it's with the mindset and the life lessons that sports has to teach. What would you say the biggest life lesson you've learned from sports, or how has sports prepared you to compete in life?
Sure. Sport is, in my best estimate, might sound offensive out of the gates, but it's this make-believe thing that we get to do. And it's an arbitrary set of rules and an arbitrary set of stakes that are on the line. And so it's this luxury that we get to do to figure out who we are. And so sport is, for me, it's a mechanism to understand what happens when I have success, what happens when I have failure. What is my definition of success and failure? What does it feel like when I go for it and I come up short? How do I manage that? How do I manage the adversity that comes with not getting everything that I want? So the very basic idea is that, sport's a way to figure out who we are. And oftentimes in modern times, we take ourselves really seriously. And we find that for elite athletes that are able to decouple who they are from what they do, that there's an incredible freedom on the other side of that. And what happens for young athletes is that they mire those two. Because most of the conversations with young athletes, with well-intended adults and their peers and coaches and cousins and uncles is, hey, how's the game going? Or, okay, I saw you practice, it looked great. Or, hey, you're going to play this new rival that we've got across town. Like, tell me about it. And so the conversations are about what they do athletically when they're talented. And it's exciting for all of us to talk about those things. But what ends up happening at a very young age is they foreclose on their identity. When that happens, it feels as if their life is on the line when the performance is really all that's on the line. And so it's that decoupling of who I am from what I do that we're able to find great freedom. And so that is a deep quest. That's not just happening at athletics. That's a really deep quest for all of us to figure that aim out. And so that's one of the reasons I love sport, is that it's a luxury, it's fun. If it was 400 years ago and we lost a game, there's some terrible things that would be happening to our families, right? But that's not the...
World Cup soccer.
It happens in World Cup soccer, not now, right? Yeah, for sure. So that's the idea for me.
Biggest life lesson is I'm going to take what Michael said, Dr. Michael, and simplify it, because this is very true. I was very blessed to have as my mentor the great John Wooden. And it was when I read his definition of success, is when I had the biggest aha moment of my life. And that is that success is peace of mind, which is a direct result in knowing that you've done your best to become the best you're capable of becoming. And so I really feel that the biggest life lesson for me every single day is to define my success based on my values, my integrity, my morals, my everything. And not to let it be defined by, oh yeah, this is my latest bling, by trophies, by winning, by bragging rights. To me, as I said, growing up on a stage and going into the world of athletics was so weird to me, because when you think about it, it's all about bragging rights and being able to say, ha-ha, we beat you. So every day I wake up, and as I'm going to work, I hit the refresh button on what is my definition of success going to be today. And that is about work ethic, honesty, respect for others, respect for myself, all of those things that go into leading a life of integrity. And at the end of the day, when I'm having some quiet time, if I can go back through my day and enumerate all those things, and if I can put a check mark by the majority of them, I've had a very successful day. And if I can add up more days like that than not during the year, I've had a successful year. And as the pastor said at Coach Wooden's funeral, he said Coach Wooden, one of his quotes that he got from his father was, masterpiece, make your life a masterpiece. And he lived 99 and 9 months. and to be 99 years old in 9 months. And he chalked up a lot more days of being able to define success as peace of mind than he did not. So that is what this great sport gives to me every day.
I would agree, obviously, with both. I think the reality is, I think we hear a lot that sports teaches us about work ethic and discipline. And I think the one thing, I'm a big fan of sports, but the one thing I think we need to be careful of is that sports doesn't own work ethic and resilience and all those things, right? You can learn those also in the classroom. I think what separates sports from other things are, one, it's fun. It's pretty simple. And then number two is life is a people business. And I think when we're, at least for me, I'm drawing from my own personal experiences, when I think about my time in the classroom, I think of a lot of time spent introspectively, or just worrying about myself instead of worrying about the people around me. And that's what sports does, at least for me. Even in individual sports, there's coaches that you have to deal with. There's still teammates, even on the individual level for the most part. And I'm a big believer in, you could probably tell, a big believer in team sports and the value of those relationships and learning how to work with all different types of people to achieve a common goal. And I think that's the one thing that really separates sports from other things that you hear about.
On that note, I don't know if you're familiar with. No. This is no, this is good. Cal Berkeley coach Jack Clark. So he's the head rugby coach at Cal Berkeley, and he's saying something very similar. And he said, "Okay, when you look at the academics and you look at the studies that happen for students, what's different in sport?" And he has a great insight. He says, "In sport, we get a PhD in team." And so it's that interaction between each other towards a common mission that is really unique in sport. It happens in other businesses, entrepreneurship, large businesses and enterprises, military frames as well. But it is something very unique, is that you get a higher degree, a graduate degree, if you will, in team. And so, he's won a lot. So you guys are singing the same thing.